Good morning, or good afternoon. Well, it's going to be afternoon in 3 minutes time, 2 minutes time. Anyway, so welcome back to another Lockdown Live. And once again, got a really nice guest on today. Should I say connection, friend?
Good morning.
Good
afternoon. Well, it's going to be afternoon.
Well, I'm going to be chatting to Jono Shales. Jono is an ex-South African guy that moved to the big island on the bottom of the world a good couple of years ago. And I started chatting to Jono probably back in 2006. Got connected via the old Fly Talk forum. And he was on one of the covers of one of the local fly fishing magazines with a marlin that they caught on the flats. And I think that is what sparked a lot of the interest in this awesome guy. And then Jono had a change of heart with staying in Sydney, and we're going to chat about that. And then he moved across country. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one. I haven't spoken to Jono in many years. We've had a good couple of chats in the way back. But yeah, I think it's a good time to catch up and just talk some nonsense and fishing and where is he going in life and what he's doing. So yeah, stick around for this, and I hope there's a lot of questions. Right, if you guys can hear me, just type a comment there, just say hi to us. Yeah. Hope everyone is still busy surviving wherever they are in the world. Oh man, our lockdown, official level 5 lockdown is supposed to end tomorrow. All right, here we go. Got Jono coming in.
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, well, how's it, man?
Hey man, we haven't spoken in years.
It's been a very, very long time. I'm glad we're able to do this.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you still got your South African accent going there, not too much of the Aussie accent.
I'm kind of adaptable. You know, when I talk with people, it changes a bit, you know.
So how's things going on that side of the world?
Yeah, fine, man. Just cruising along. I mean, honestly, you know, given the circumstance of what the hell is actually going on in the world, you know, I think of all the guides and all the professional anglers and people who's out there, like this, who's being affected. And you know, I mean, I've lost my whole business, let's just say. So don't, you know, I'm not beating around the bush, but of all the people who's lost their business and whose businesses have shut down, I'd say that probably in Australia, we're in the best position as far as being a professional guide goes. Because if you run your own business, there's actually support from the government. So, you know, what's going to happen for us is, I'm not going to use the word bailout, but there is definitely financial assistance. So while on one side, every guide and every operator and every tourism operator and every person in Australia whose business has literally just been like that, is actually being helped out by the government. So, you know, it's a very big difference being here where, let's say, the level of support and the level of, the advanced thinking, the Australian government, all the banks allowing us to defer our loans so we don't have to pay for the loans for now.
Yeah.
The government is subsidizing electricity and water in the houses, and anyone who's lost up to 30% of income on your business, and you show that to the government, they will actually support you and pay you every fortnight for the next 5-6 months until things get back up and running.
Shit. Well, yeah, I think you can be glad you're not in South Africa at the moment. Look, our government is pretty much on top of things, but not.
I'm proud to be South African. I've been watching it from here. I mean, I always keep, all my friends and a lot of oaks are still in South Africa, and I like to see the good for the country and stuff like that. And I am glad that I'm here, but at the same time, I miss South Africa, I miss my friends and everything. But in the circumstance of what's going on in this time in my life, and I'm 46, I've been running a full-time business now for 10 years here, and it just immediately everything stopped. So it's like, whoa, it's a shake-up, you know what I mean? And everybody the same.
Yeah, well, it's every person in the world is shaken up by this. It's not just my business, or it's every. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a big-time company. It doesn't matter if you're a top-notch surgeon. You're taking shots because there's no elective surgeries.
That's it. I mean, and it's amazing. So on that side of things, I don't have any level of stress or anxiety where I'm stressed out about, how am I going to get out of this and whatever. For me, I'm like I said, when I started, I couldn't actually imagine to be in a better position. I mean, to be honest, I'm having an absolute joy, bro. I'm going fishing whenever I want. Weather's good, weather's bad. Let me just turn this bloody email of mine off. I'm getting to, let me just close this. There we go, lekker. Being a guide is one thing, it's lekker. You know what it's like. You take a guys fishing and the guys have a good time and then they catch a fish or they blow shots or whatever, or, maybe you've got really nice people, maybe you've got people who aren't so nice. And I'm always looking after people. As a full-time guide, you're always looking after, you got to take into consideration, where are they? Are they being taken care of? Are they comfortable where they are? Are they catching fish? Are they being fed? Have they got enough water? Have you helped him with his bags? And constantly. So for now, I literally have probably 6 months off, and I'm allowed to go on the boat too. So we don't have that restriction. So I can take my boat, I can go out fishing, and I've gone out probably about 5 times in the last 2-3 weeks. And it's been awesome. I mean, I just get to go fishing myself.
It is crazy. I remember back in, I think it was 2007 when we spoke. When did you pack your stuff up in Sydney?
It was it was April of 2009 was when I actually got when I left Sydney. Was, I think, 24th of April 2009. But we'd been chatting before that.
Yes. And I think, well, some of the people that might know of you might not know of that story of you. So how did you get from South Africa to Australia in the first place? That was many years ago.
I'm just sending my mate here a message to say get on Facebook, because he's probably having a dop there somewhere. So he's just gonna, there we go. Excuse me. Well, I think when I chatted to you, it was long ago, like 2007, 8. At that time, I'd pursued a career as in technology. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I was working like an ad agency, and we were working with the real estate industry in Sydney. And what we were doing is developing some pretty techie stuff, real nice displays and beautiful marketing collateral and so on for big companies, architects and developers. And that was the direction I was taking in my life. And it was also an excuse. Well, it was giving me the ability to go fishing. So of course, what happens is when you're working, you think, geez, I've got a bit of money, I've got a fishing trip. And eventually those fishing trips, the gap between those fishing trips got less and less and less, until I realized, I had a boat in Sydney. I bought myself a boat, I had 2 boats, 3 boats. and I had a boat, my first tinny kind of, aluminium boat when I was in Sydney. And what was lekker for me was to go out on the harbour, because the fishing's good in Sydney. You've got access to yellowtail kingfish, and you've got Australian salmon, and they're right there. They're in the harbour and stuff. So, it's boat tramps 10 minutes away from my house. Load the boat, go to the boat tram, go fish. Eventually I was the director of the company I was working for, that I was running. I was the boss. I had 6 staff in North Sydney, but I was on the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning, having a fish on the harbour on my boat on a work day with no one else around, having a good time. And at that point, that light sort of goes on, and a couple of mates and a couple of friends as well. They sort of, so listen, maybe you're looking in the wrong direction as to where you should be spending your time and efforts in life, And it just so happened. That that time in Sydney, that was a chapter, let's say, and that came to an end. Sorry, coming back to your question, Dewald, how did I get to Australia? Well, that was another chapter too. I married an Australian bird, a very nice girl. We're still very, very good friends. And we got married in 2001. So we met in London in 96, and we were together for 8 years. And we went back to South Africa together, stayed there for another 4 years. And then, because she was from Perth, so we got married back in 2001, immigrated. Back then, it was a relatively simple process with the Australian immigration. Right now, it's pretty difficult. And obviously, then I was in Australia, and then you start life off again in Australia. You got to make new friends. You got to, get your head around where everything is and how everything works, and so on. You starting life off again. That's a whole chapter. Just moving continent to another place, new job, new friends, new life. Just got married. But yeah, so that's how I originally came into Australia back in 2001. So that's obviously 20 years ago.
Yeah, and then you said that you're going to start off this grandiose tour, and you said you're going to drive from Sydney right around Australia and fish wherever you can. And
yeah,
but you only got halfway and you got stuck.
I left late as it was anyway. I had this great ideas that I got this map of Australia. I think I've still got it here somewhere in the house, and I've got this map, and I got all those little pink dots, and I put pink dots all over the locations like that around where I wanted to go, and I've still got that map somewhere. And I look at it now, and I was like, what was I thinking? I mean, Australia's massive. It's huge, 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 So I left Sydney a little bit late with this grandest, as you say, idea to travel around Australia. And I'd arranged with a bunch of mates of mine. I said, listen, you meet me there, you meet me there, you meet me there, and so on. And we'll just go camping and have a good time, and so on and so on. And that was basically the idea. I mean, I left Sydney late. Let's just backtrack a couple of months. So I'd broken up with my ex-girlfriend. This is after getting married and divorced. This is years later, 7-8 years later now. I'd broken up with my ex. I'd shut down my design businesses in Sydney because both of those were related to the property industry. And the guy who I was involved with on a business level, he had a business in America. And that business in America was sending project work, advertising work for us guys to do. And that was right at the time, just before the global financial crisis. And his businesses in San Diego were going down. I knew that because he wasn't able to pay me. So I then thought, well, hang on a sec. This business is not going anywhere. So I got out of that. And literally, I found myself at the age of 36. And I was like, I can do anything I choose.
Yeah.
I'm not married. I haven't got kids. I like fishing. I've done a lot of fishing. I want to do some fishing stuff. Been in the city now. Sydney, I was there in Sydney for 8 years, living in the city. So, that was, and then, that decision wasn't the hardest decision to make. To say, okay, cool, I'm going to leave the city, the conveniences, the shops, the friends, the networks, the business connections, the security, of what cities offer. I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go out on the road and document my trip, and let people live vicariously through me, and so that this living the dream analogy, actually getting off your ass, doing something out there in your life, that's a change, not just that decision right there was the definitely defining decision in my life as far as why I am today. Fast forward another 10 years, but that decision there to leave that security, or that safety net, as it were, of the city and all those nice things that you have there, was definitely probably the biggest decision that I've ever made in my life, to say, I'm gonna let go of that rope. I'm gonna drift off this way. I don't know where I'm going. So literally, when I left Sydney and I drove out, I mean, I'd never driven inland more than a couple of hours from Sydney, and I traded in my car. I had a nice little Peugeot, I traded that in, and I bought a nice Land Cruiser and my boat. You saw that boat, the old boat, and literally just packed stuff. I mean, I was so late for leaving. I was just, I was literally just messing around. I was on the bare bones of my bum as far as finances, and my patience was wearing thin as well. So when I left, I just had like a foam mattress like this in the back of the Land Cruiser to sleep on. No sheet or anything. Just, I'm just going to sleep in my clothes, whatever, just go. And literally drove. And I think the first day I got 4 or 5 hours out, and I was like, yes, this place is bigger. And I drove like that, and I didn't actually comprehend the size of Australia. You drive, what's Joburg? Cape Town is what, 13 hours, 14 hours? Yeah. Something like that. Cool. So then I was driving now 8 or 9 hours, towing a boat with all my crap loaded in the car and boat, and I was doing like 8 or 9 hours a day, and I did that for 6 days straight. So you do, drive like that, and then that got me across the continent. So you're basically driving all day, and I'm driving west as well. So the sun's coming in your eyes. So you get about 5:30 in the afternoon, and that sun's belting in your eyes, and you just find somewhere to sleep. So you go through little towns, stock up on all the stuff what I need. But I had a fridge in my car, and I had all the stuff. I was just like, go, And then I just sleep somewhere on the side of the road, you just pull in somewhere. It's safe, it's not South Africa as such, just sleep there in the car. I got a mattress and a pillow, like free, I've got a Land Cruiser, I've got a boat, I'm going fishing. So lekker.
But you didn't fish a lot along that road. You only started fishing when you got to the west side.
Yeah, but I mean, bro, you want to see the size of the place. I mean, it's crazy. I needed to get across to WA. I got a mate of mine who lives south of Perth, so I wanted to catch up with him. I was like, catch up with you. And I was a couple of days late. And then I was like, shit, my time with him is a bit limited. So I was just sort of getting there, So by the time I got across to Western Australia, which is 6 days of driving, I hadn't fished at all. So literally got there. He said, hey, how's that? We got a lunch, whatever, packed everything, hosed down the boat, chucked it in the water, and went for a fish. And we come across a nice duck school of Aussie salmon. And those were the first fish that I've actually caught on my journey, as such. And that was great. I mean, but that was the start of it. So I didn't actually, this grandeur plans of stop here, do this, do that. I was already 10 days behind on my schedule. So, I mean, a whole bunch of places got wiped out. So I was like, and then, so then from there, from south of Perth, then I came up the west coast, and I picked up a really good mate of mine, Gavin Davis from Sydney. He was flying in, and I met him in Shark Bay. So I didn't have any more time to fish in Perth or anything, because things take time. And my schedule was like, I got to meet this guy there, and I got to meet Gav there. Picked him up in Shark Bay, which is about 800 k's north of Perth. So you must understand the distances are vast. Yes. So where I am in Exmouth is 1200 k's north of Perth. So Shark Bay is whatever, 800 k's. So I had to still drive from 300 k's south of Perth. So I got to drive another 1100 k's, just like that in a day. Picked my mate up, and and then basically once I picked him up, the weather was crap, so we just continued to Exmouth. And, that feeling when you go to a place and it's either, or you go to a place and it's lacquer, you feel, the energy's good and the streets were clean and yes, threw the boat in and went for a fish, bang, and got fish. That was, that was April 2009. Now we're in April. Well, it was probably 11, 12 years ago now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, it's absolutely crazy. And what you had a whole bunch of sponsors lined up for this whole thing. You had the motor sponsored and you had fuel sponsored and hooks and reels and rods and a whole bang shoot to document this whole thing. I remember that. You said,
yeah, I mean, you know what? But like I said, what happened was, I was so late from leaving Sydney. I literally I had this great plans, and then the reality is, geez, this is hard work. I've got to get camping stuff. I've got to get a new engine for my boat. I've got to get, where am I going to store food? What about, what do I need? What kind of stuff? What about if I'm driving along and suddenly I don't have hooks or I don't have lines so literally what I actually did was, and rest in peace, Jack Charlton. Jack Charlton actually contacted me back then already this is in 2007, 2008, after I was doing some web design stuff and putting some pictures and videos and stuff on web forums and remember Fly Talk and those kind of things back way ages ago. And in fact, Jack Charlton was the one who had said to me, he said, listen, here's, he'd approached me and we developed a friendship and already had a relationship. And he'd said to me, listen, you can do anything you want, really, there's nothing stopping you. And he also opened a couple of doors for me. He said, listen, do you want to know anyone, or do you want any introductions to anywhere or anybody or any magazines or anything like that, and so on. So once he had started saying to me, listen, you can do anything you want, and he had given me a couple of very nice Charlton reels, which I still have and use today, Mako reels. And, I thought to myself, I was like, all right, let me see how far I can push this, because I've got nothing to lose. Like, basically, I don't have too much. I've got rods and lines and flies and stuff, but it's not like, it's just my stuff.
Yes.
So I sent a couple of emails. First email I sent was to Orvis. And I sent them an email and I introduced myself very politely, told them what I was doing, told them I was going on this big journey around Australia. I was going to document the whole thing. I had a whole bunch of friends of mine who's going to join me. I'm going to make videos. I'm going to put photos and this and that and so on. The next morning, and Orvis is very good like this. The next morning, I had an email from them, from their account manager or customer service or whatever, guide program service people. Very nice email. They said, we're totally excited about what you're doing. We'd like to extend you a discount for any items purchased through the Orvis website. Here's a code. Go ahead. So it's like a pro program kind of thing. So discounts and shit. So now suddenly the rods aren't so expensive with the line. I was like, hey, that's pretty good, So that's not too bad at all. So then I thought, well, how far more can I push this now? So then what I did is I wrote an email then to CGUR fluorocarbon, Scientific Angler lines, Cooper tires, Engel fridges for the truck, Gamakatsu hooks. And as I got momentum, I told each one of them that I was already being supported by the other. So that Mako was supporting me, Scientific Angler, CGUR, all getting on board. Every single one of them said, yes, no problems whatsoever. And they all sent me stuff. So I got boxes of fly lines, CGUR, fluorocarbon, shirts, caps, hats, other crap. I mean, the guys from Cooper Tires said, we love this kind of adventure. Document the whole thing. Go down to the local tire place, put 4 brand new Cooper tires on the Land Cruiser, free, no problems whatsoever. Said, yes, that's brilliant. Yeah. If you don't ask, you don't get, eh? And then the same thing with Engel fridges. Same thing. The guys from Engel fridges said, listen, we love this kind of stuff. I was like, great. He said, go down to the warehouse, go down there, meet with, whoever. Go down there, brand new 40-liter Engel fridge. It's mine. Got my name on it. It's free. Take it. Yes, bro. And I got every, I was like, this is amazing. Eh? then in they came, rods. You know, and there's a lesson in that too. I mean, I got an email from a young gentleman not long ago. What's his name? Because I must give him props. Because I like this, I respect. Young gentleman emailed me the other day, South African guy. Where is it? I'll find it. Excuse me for a sec. And he was very polite. What's his name? Peter Van der Westhuizen. That's the email come from him. His name was Johan Van der Westhuizen. And I believe it's from Cape Town. Emailed me. Very nice. Introduced himself. Wanted to know if there was any guiding opportunities here with me. You know, can I come and guide with you and that type of thing. And I wrote back a very polite email. And I said, listen, I'm a one-man band. But if there's anything I can do for you or any advice that I can give and so on and so on. And then there's a lesson in that as well. If you go, if you just get off your ass, try, make an effort, pen that email. You know, the guy said to me, "Oh, what can I do? How can I get into the guiding business? Or how can I, do just all you got to do is try. Just try anything. If you don't ask, you don't get." I asked all those sponsors. I wrote them a very nice letter. I could have lost nothing because I didn't have anything. So I had nothing to lose. So I wrote them all letters and I scored from every single one of them. And every single one of them scored too because I documented the whole trip and I got videos, photos, and they got a lot of exposure. Each of those companies, each of those brands. You know?
It's insane. It's it's exactly the same as what I'm doing here with this kind of thing. All the people I've had on, I've simply sent them an email or a LinkedIn message or Facebook or Instagram, said, listen, you want to come and chat? And either they say yes or they say no. And I got along the lines of one of my friends here in Worcester, where I stay now. I got Mike Horn's cell phone number, like the Explorer Mike Horn, which is also a South African guy. And I sent him a WhatsApp and I said, listen, Mike, would you be keen to come onto my chat show? I've got nothing, like you said, you've got absolutely nothing to lose. I said, I know you probably get 100 of these a day. I would appreciate it if you would come back to me. And he read it. You can see the two blue marks. So he definitely read it. But he never came back to me. But still, I threw the line in the water and there was no fish in that thing that wanted my bait. So
yeah.
You can just ask. And also when people see these kind of stories and where you are and what you're doing, and it's all amazing, and it must be awesome to be out in the water 6 days a week and catch awesome fish, but they don't get how much hard work it is behind the scenes.
Okay, well, let me tell you, let me carry on from when I arrived here. I'm in Exmouth now. Obviously, I'm in Exmouth and I've run my business now for the last 10 years. When I arrived here in the town here, I didn't have a place to stay. Didn't have a lot of money. So basically I went to the caravan park and I stayed in the caravan park, made a tent. I had a tent, I bought a tent and I put my tent up there. And my mattress from my car, foam mattress this big, was lying on the floor. And I spent all of April, May, June, July, August, September, and into October, 7 months, sleeping like that in the tent. With a box, with a box of in the morning, I wake up, I've got a cardboard box, and in there's coffee brewer, other bits and bobs. Then I go to a communal camp kitchen area in the caravan park, and I've just got a basic patch of dirt where my tent is. That's it. And, so that was 7 months. And then when I left there, it was getting hot in October, flew back to South Africa, said to my mum and dad, and I think we went down to the Eastern Transvaal, or we went to the Transkei. And I said to him, listen, I said, this fishing thing is now my life. They know that, man. Both of my folks fish and stuff, And I said, my time in Sydney's finished. I'm going to go and explore a life in Western Australia. And I think that, there's an opportunity there for me to start a professional guiding business. So that's I'm going to take that opportunity. And both my folks were totally supportive, and they still are totally supportive of that. And
at that time, there wasn't anybody in Western Australia, if I'm correct. One guy.
Yeah, one guy. So in this town. So,
okay.
Yeah. So of course, so once I'd said to my folks, listen, I'm going to commit to this. This is what I'm going to do. Then I was in South Africa, got back to Sydney because my stuff was still in Sydney at this stage. my car and my boat were here. I left them here at my mate's place here in Exmouth. And then, excuse me, and then all my belongings, my clothes, my fridge, sofa, stuff was in the house that I've been renting in Sydney for 8 years. All my life is still there. So I had to go back to Sydney, pack up my whole house, put it into storage, then a storage unit, fly back over here to WA, pick up my car and boat and stuff, and then say, what am I going to do for an income? So I started getting a job here in the pub, a local pub, very lucky, because a mate of mine's missus was the manager of the pub, and I started getting a job there in the pub. And I worked in that job in the pub for, I think, 7 months in that pub, living in a small little room at the back of the pub. So I moved up from the caravan park up into a room. So I still had my car and my boat there. I was able to go fishing. And in the evening, I'm working, pulling beers, you know, working in the pub, let's say. And did that for 7 months. And then I got fired twice from that job. Not just once.
You must have done something right that they got you back.
Yeah, well. So I did that. And while I was working there in the bar, I went to each of the government departments involved in the licensing and the regulations and legislation behind becoming a professional guide in Western Australia. So you don't just get, like, say, for example, a guiding license. There's no such thing as a guiding license. You have to have multiple licenses to operate a commercial business in Western Australia or in different areas throughout Australia, but specifically here in Western Australia, it's a marine park, a World Heritage listed marine park. So to run any business, if it's a professional photography business, a professional whale shark diving business, or a professional snorkeling business, whatever, you have to be insured and you have to be licensed. So I went to each of the government departments trying to find out, okay, how does this work? How does that work? And they were all very forthcoming, very nice, very easy to deal with. And slowly over time, I had the paperwork sitting in my bed in the donga at the back of the pub there. And, you know, the paperwork is all there. Slowly, this day I'm doing that. I'm registering that name. I'm applying for this and I'm applying for that. And that took 2 years. So that was a process from when I decided that I wanted to be a professional guide, a full-time guide, until that I had my first client standing on the boat. It was a 2-year slog, a difficult 2 years as well. Got to build a new boat from scratch. Got to get the license for that boat. The boat needs to be certified with a tape measure and all this. You can't just buy a boat and someone use it. It has to be into commercial survey. Build a boat, have it spec'd out, go through all the regulations. I myself have to have a professional commercial skipper's ticket. That itself is 1,500 hours of sea time on the boat, and licenses and exams and so on, just to get that certification underway. Then you've got to apply here from the Department of Fisheries. They want a separate license. The Department of Environment, they want a separate license. Tourism Authority, they want a separate license in order for me to serve food to my clients on the boat. I've got to have a food risk license from the local council here, you know, $10 million public liability insurance. You know, so you operate underneath a framework of, I do, 5 or 6 different licenses, each from different government departments. And those licenses have a yearly renewal and subscription. You know, you have to renew them every single year. And that's just a given. Those are costs of the business. But in order for me to be a guide here, I'm operating under 5 or 6 different separate licenses.
Sure.
So,
and
yeah.
okay, so once all that stuff was, you obviously are still fishing in that time, posting pictures and getting
Yes.
people, Jono, can we come and visit you? So I presume you had mates come over and said, listen, it's going to cost us $100 a day in bag cost. Help me find that, and then let's just go fish and have fun and get some awesome pictures. I presume that's what you...
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's exactly what I did. You know, I'm looking at this whole thing and I'm going, okay, cool. Got a $20,000 Land Cruiser, got a $20,000 boat. That's fine. I've paid for those. They're done. I'm going to be camping. There's going to be food. We're going to be talking shit with the boys. We're going to drink some beers. We're going to, have meals. There's going to be fuel costs. We're going to go camping in remote spots, all this and that. Cool, lekker. So each of my mates, and I hope they're watching now. How's it, boys? Each of my mates, guys come out from South Africa. Brendan Boddy, my best mate, he's the editor of Mission magazine, the Mission in SA. He was one of the guys. I said, listen, fly out, get your ass on a plane, let's go camping, and let's just have a jaw. So each of my mates came out, and of course, for that first period from April to October in 2009, basically my mom and my dad came out. Brendan came out from South Africa, mates of mine from Sydney who I go fishing with all the time, other oaks who I was hanging out with on a regular basis, going fishing with and so on. It wasn't like there was an open invite to anybody out there saying, hey, Oaks, come out and fish with me, because I'm not off like that, you know what I mean? I'm in the process of got to paper this dick on my bed. I'm not going to mess with that while, so of course I'm out there fishing, having a good time, photos. But by this stage, the momentum is already flying. I mean, I've got, guys left, right, and center loving it. I mean, the Fly Fishing in Salt Waters magazine was taking a feed from my news posts, and basically was feeding onto the front page of their online website was Jono Shales in Western Australia. I mean, it was amazing. So what was going on was that 2-year period when after the initial 6 months of arriving here, having a good time fishing and so on, everybody left, no problems whatsoever. Now I'm going to start life off again, start working in the pub. And that 2-year period from there until I had my first client, I was going fishing on my own, hanging out with mates, like local guys over here, 1 or 2 local guys. That's it. Because there's no open invite, no one's coming, nothing like that. We just go fishing, and I'll go fishing, you go fishing, everyone has a good time, and so on. But what was happening was the momentum was building.
Yes.
So of course, a lot of guys are saying, we want to come and fish, we want to come fishing, so on and so on. So I can't say, come and fish with me. Because if I do that, the guy who, when I arrived here, the single guy who's he still doesn't talk to me, already had run to the authorities crying. So there's no point for me to take people fishing, you know what I mean? It's not going to happen. So the momentum was building. So I mean, once I got my licenses in place and once everything was like over the line, had my boat built, picked it up, I drove the boat with a trailer from the East Coast, from Brisbane, drove across, picked it up myself, did all the certification stuff, got all the licenses out of the way, and said goodbye to working hospitality and pouring beers and whatever. And literally the first day, the first week or the first day that I had a client on the boat and guiding, that one day was more income, better income, easier income than a week pulling beers behind the bar. I was like, wow, all those 2 years, it's been worth it. It's been worthwhile. It's not an easy life when you're 36, start off again, start pouring beers. You got pissed guys in the pub, throwing abuse at you, and it's a country town. I mean, it's not like you're in the, Santandale or, like Camps Bay or anything like that. It's a pretty rough place. It was 10 years ago. It's changed a lot.
But I'd like that youngster that sent you an email. They all see the grand life. They see all the glamorous. They see the big fish and all the clients on the boat. See that 2 years behind the scenes, like you said, pouring beer, sleeping in a hole at the back of the shop. It's a lot easier now. It's a lot easier now to get sort of famous for something you do than what it was back in 2009. There was Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and none of this stuff was really utilized for what we do now.
Yes, and it was very interesting because being from a web and a design background, a technology background, I was very interested already in mobile technology, websites. I mean, it's exactly what I've just done for 10 years. So by the time that I was able to leave Sydney and come here, I already was able to design websites, register businesses, do my own writing, my photography, Photoshop, animation, any kind of, film work. I can do all of that kind of stuff, no problem. So already from a marketing perspective and self-branding perspective, once I got onto Facebook and once I got onto Instagram, by the time the competition was getting onto Facebook and Instagram, I was already a couple of thousand followers in the lead. Still am. But, you know, I was already that far down and embracing that sharing of content, of information, of messaging guys, and, you know, and keeping that fly fishing buzz alive, understanding how that technology helps, and understanding, I mean, fly fishing and Facebook and Instagram is a perfect match. I mean, it's just, you know, pictures and Oaks can press buttons and, you know, comments and whatever. I mean, it's out of control, but I mean, to watch it, as you say, in 2009, 10, to see the birth of, you know, this instant messaging and Facebook professional pages where you can put a professional page up and people can press like and receive notifications, and now it's like bloody every second bloody thing is a notification. So it's a bit diluted, but back then it was exciting times.
Yes, it was. Shit, man, I wanted to ask you something about all that kind of stuff now. It will come back to me. It will come back to me.
That's all right.
What's in your future plans? Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Is I had a chat to Daniel Goes as well, who caught the tarpon from the float tube.
Yes.
And it was also all in that same time. You had the cover on the Complete Fly Fisherman magazine here with that marlin put on the flats.
That's it.
All the stuff that completely shook the shit out of the fly fishing world that got people noticed. There's a other ones. It was like that Jurassic Lake thing in Patagonia. And everybody's just like, holy shit, what's this? Are you guys catching the boat, the free swimming tuna?
Yes. And I think that back then, to see video, to see on video, to see guys fishing and to watch guys hooking up or the reel, or to watch guys doing this. I mean, Daniel and Jan's video, Tapam, was the first, in my opinion, was the first real next level production type video, and, you know, with the sound and all that. And Jan is a great friend of mine. I'm still to meet Daniel, but, you know, that for me was also a benchmark. It was like, yes. And from then you can see how things can be diluted, you know, that it's not as special as it was back then. When you see something now, it's still amazing, the production and stuff now, but it's very different, you know. It's a double-edged sword as well, hey? You know, because those guys from Tapam, and Daniel had been there many times before. He invited Jan. Jan said he agreed to go, and they made a film about it. Now there's Oaks there calling themselves Tapam Lodge. Taking guys fishing. No, good for them. Business opportunities, you know how it works. But not good for Daniel and Jan, or good for the secrecy of that fishing. You know, you can see how trends happen nowadays. I mean, if you fast forward now to where we are now with technology, and what people who are so hungry to be liked and followed and have people mesmerized by their ability to constantly put stuff on Instagram or Facebook, you know, now it's like this hunger that people have. How many likes can I get? How many follows? How many this and that? Drive me freaking mad. But back then, let's say 10, 11 years ago, it was like when you saw video of fishing, it was like, yes, it's fish porn, you know what I mean? Jump, yes, look at that, rewind, no, you know, it's amazing. But what happens now is that the fisheries can be slightly bashed, let's say. So let's say I see a trend. A couple of influential people go to catch golden dorado, let's just say. Now, golden dorado 3-4 years ago was like, yes, have you seen that yellow kind of fish with funny, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, whatever.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the golden dorado feeds of what's going on social media, there's a trend of all these kind of like influential people, influencers, what do you want to call, who migrate through the season. And one week you'll see these guys going like this, holding fish. And the next week it's the next set of influencers with the next set of sponsors and the next set of hashtags. And then with their things going like this. And then the next week it's the next oats going through, and then they're doing this. And then it's onto that fish, and then it's onto that fish, and then it's onto that lodge. And then you see the prices go up. So then you see that, oh, it used to be quite cost effective to go and catch a golden dorado. Now it's like doubled, tripled. Cuba, same example.
Yes.
You know?
I had a chat to Stefan Dombaj as well last week, and
Yes.
and same story. Well, I still remember when they started, it was Fly Fishing Nation with a little block spot and everything, and now they are doing massive marketing campaigns for lodges. They get in, they suss out the place, they tell the people where the fish is, how it works, get them amazing marketing material. It's a really an amazing business that he's built out of where they started. But he also, these influencers are driving them nuts.
Yes.
Have you had, call it fishing influence, contact you saying that, Jono, I want to come fish, I'll put you on the map kind of vibe thing?
Luckily, I've been doing it long enough. I know them all, most of the influencers, and I know how it works out there. To be honest, Dewald, what's happened with me is quite a unique situation. Very early on in the game for me, I got very busy. And I got busy enough where the gaps in my guiding calendar, where the gaps were such that I now didn't have any more gaps, and I had overflow, and I had to be careful that I didn't work too much. So already I was busy early on. And I had a very interesting incident with guys out of South Africa. And good mate of mine, Jono Bolton, Mark Taylor, guys from Mavungana. Very nice guys. And I got a lot of respect for the guys too. They put their hard work in, do their own thing, run their own businesses how they want. That's great. It was second year into my business, maybe second year into my business, 2013. Got in contact with John. I think I went back to South Africa. Went past Mavungana. How's it, mate? How you going? Cool. Because we've got a place up there in Lydenburg.
Yes.
And I went past, put some flies, bought some flies, some material. And we had a bit of a chat, passing chat. And I said to him, listen, I said, you know, maybe why don't you one day, you and Mark want to come out? Yes. And he jumped at the opportunity. You know, we'll have exclusive rights over you. We'll send you business through our shop. We'll sell you in our shop, because in our shop, we're selling Alaska, we're selling Patagonia, so we'll sell Exmouth, you know, and we're in the shop and so on. But, you know, what happened was, and Mark and Jono came out, they stayed with me. We had a lekker time. And when we went fishing, they went fishing, I drove them around for 10 days. Yeah. And then this is the second year of my business. And I thought to myself, yeah, I've got 10 days of no income, but they paid for the fuel and food. But the upside would be that those guys would send business from South Africa. Those guys would send clients. So at face value, this sounds like a great deal. I mean, who wouldn't want to have that? You've got influential people, nice shop, you know, the guys. But things got so busy for me through my own efforts that I stood back and I looked, why would I want to put 2 weeks of prime time aside for these oaks or any of the companies who want to take 2 weeks and sell it? Because that's, let's say, most clients or most operators or most shops or travel operators or travel companies would say, we want to have the best 2 weeks. And then they sell those 2 weeks and then they charge, you know, whatever to their clients, or maybe there's a 20% difference or whatever. But most people are looking for 20%, 20, 15, 20%. Most travel shops or travel organizers, and they want 20%. And so already I'm losing 20% as a commission.
So that's commission that you've got to pay them for them bringing you clients.
That's correct. So I already lose 20%.
Because they can't, if you say, right, it's going to cost you $1,000 for the week, they can't go and sell it for $1,500 because the client could have just booked it directly through you for cheaper.
Well, there's no rules in business, and this is me running headfirst into it, thinking that I needed to make relationships with guys in South Africa where I was going to get business from the guys. So they came out, took 10 days, flew back, and they had photos and this and that, and they had, what they wanted to do is put marketing material together. They want to put a PDF together that they're going to send out to their database of their clients to advertise Exmouth and services and so on and so on. When the PDF came out, it had fuck all to do with Jono Shales, really much. It pretty much was just about Mavungana. And that's fine. And I looked at it and I was like, that's a bit strange. And I got it. And then I clicked. And I was like, it's not about me. It's about them. I want it to be about me, but it's not. It's about them. they, in their eyes, have found a new destination and are taking clients there, and we'll hold your hands, sell you rods, sell you flies, sell you jackets, put you on the airplane, and charge a bit extra for holding your hand, and take 20% from Jono. And, and then I literally just wrote a very quick and simple email. I said, Jono, we're mates. Let's keep it like that. We're not going to do business. And that was it, And I realized from that, why would I want to have why would I want to have 2 weeks where I lose 20% versus I've got a whole bunch of emails sitting of guys going, we want to come and pay you 100%.
Yes.
So I realized that early on in the game, and I realized, shit, I can probably do this without getting in articles and magazines and trying to put my face on TV and trying to take selfies and promote myself. It's happened already. It's the momentum is already in. I've got enough business. So what I did was I stuck with it, and I did my own bookings and my own marketing and and I still do my own bookings, my own marketing, and I do everything myself still. But in the last 10 years, I have received emails from every single travel operator, travel company out there, from Frontiers to Farlows to Yellow Dog to Fly Odyssey to the Aardvark McLeod to, and so on. I'm rattling names off, but all of them saying, we want to send you clients. And again, at face value, it sounds great because you've got all these companies. Let's say, I'm just getting weeks here and here with guys coming in from wherever. I'm a one-man band out here. All I need is 1 or 2 people. I don't need groups. I don't need multiple people. I'm not going to make money doing that. I'm going to lose money by taking clients from these operators. They want a 20% clip. I'm not going to lose 20%. So I've never, ever lost a single, not lost, but I've never actually paid out a single dollar in any commission at all, ever. And I've never, ever also paid a single dollar in advertising or marketing either. So I try and keep those two at zero, you know. So I don't buy into, these famous influencers and anyone who's an influencer, anyone who's famous, more famous than whoever, whatever, there's always got to be an upside for someone. If you're going on a trip and you want to host a trip and you're the host of that trip and you take 6 people with you on the trip, you're the host of that trip and you are very influential that you can quite easily at the drop of a hat get 6 people and go on a trip. That model and my business model, there's no cohesion at all. There's no similarities at all. I'm not going to get someone who's going to say, hey, I'm going to bring you a client. Well, that's my everyday business anyway. So I don't have people who are looking, occasionally you'll get someone from a fishing magazine, a normal Australian fishing magazine, not Fly Life or something, or just a normal, gewone, stock standard, Stavelina kind of magazine. Hey man, how you going? Want to try my hand at fly fishing? Maybe you could take us out and all this kind of shit, And they're just thinking to go out for the day, go out to have a lack of fish on the water with a guide and all that kind of thing. Meanwhile, I've got international clients here for a 1 week or 2 week period sitting in the guest house, and I've got them for a block booking. So that there's no common ground. So for me to be influenced or to feel like I need to have people who are famous out there to send me work or do me favors, I don't get that. I chat with everyone, all the guys, and we're all mates and we can send each other things, but I don't get that you need me because I'm famous ever.
Yeah. Well, that's great, and it shows from the old hands. Well, you can't really teach an old dog new tricks in a lot of cases. And I always say you can spot you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
This is true. Yeah, no, that is true. So so that's and talking to coming back to the young fellow Johan Van der Westhuizen who emailed me. I hope he watches this, and I hope he understands also and listens and sees that just by making a couple of decisions in my life, those decisions changed my life. Now I'm a professional guide, and I've been doing it for 10 years full time. And this is the guest house here. This is a property which I bought 5 years ago, and I've as an investment property. So this is where I've got to in my guiding. is that I was able to now buy a property. I now accommodate all the clients here. So hard work has paid off from a couple of sessions back then. Hard work's paid off. And I'm not in anyone's pocket either. No one's done me any favors to get here. I walked my own path to get here. And you know, you got to be street smart as well, because if people think they're doing you favors, then you're in their pocket and then you owe them something. Maybe it's a commission, maybe it's something else. So I'd rather.
Again, and I've worked with a lot of clients in my photography and a little bit of fishing guiding I did, and even before that, is that as soon as you work with clients where you need to host them like what you are doing now, it's a different ball game. Is that you need to be up at 5 in the morning when they get up at 6. You need to go to bed at 11 when they go to bed at 10. It's then you might post a picture of this guy that caught his freaking lifelong dream fish, but meanwhile, he has the biggest dick to you on the boat the whole day, but you him look like the hero in this, and that's different.
You know, if
you get a guy that comes to you and he fishes for yellowfish in the Vaal River every day, he just check nymphs. You never cast a line further than 5 meters, and now you need to do a 30-meter cast to get the fly in front of the fish.
And it takes time, man. It takes time. You know, as an angler, you know, because there's two people here. One side is an angler, and the other side's a guide. It's not the same person.
No.
People who think that you're a guide and an angler and the same person is two different people. Ask the guys working in the Seychelles. Is it a lack of time? Are you having a nice time fishing? They're not fishing. They're working. They work. So when you see the guy holding the fish, you know, there's a process. There's a huge chain of events that happened before to get to that point with that guy's. So, you know, probably 15, 20 emails back and forth with the client, doing all the banking, doing all the, bookings, assisting them.
Are you vegan? Are you allergic to nuts? All those kind of.
Get them into the, you know, arrange to pick them up at the airport. I'll go and drive down to the airport. I'll pick them up. I'll bring them back here. This guest house here, cleaned from head to toe, spotless, ready for their arrival. Everything's just perfect, convenient, clean from head to toe. Carry their bags in for them. Put some nice beers or wine in the fridge for the guys. Make them feel a bit welcome here. Show them around. Show them everything. When I take them out on the boat the next day, I've got to come past you. I've got to pick them up here and take them fishing for the day. You know, that's going to be driving the car. I pick the car, pick them up right outside the house over here with my boat. The boat's got to be cleaned from head to toe. The car has got to be cleaned from head to toe every day. It's got to be kept clean. The lunch has got to be prepared, cut nicely, put in the cool box. The whole boat's got to be prepped and ready. It's got to look professional. Yeah. Pick them up, take them around, launch the boat, put the clients on the boat, drive out, know where to go. Where am I going? It's cloudy, it's windy, it's sunny, there's no wind. Tide's up, tide's down. Now, these are variables. Now you're thinking, you know, what if I went over there? Oh, no, last week it was good. This week it's shit. Why? Why? You know, you can't guess that as a guide. You got to know why. So these are things that, you know, there's a process. When you see the guy with a fish, the reason he's caught that fish is because the guide's worked out, well, what's the best time to go there? Or what's, you know, are we wasting our time going there? And what are we going to catch? There's no point thinking, okay, there's going to be GTs here, but there's not. There's actually tailing permit. Let's say, you know, oh shit, sorry man, I didn't know. Bam, you know, you're not on the ball. So, you know, when all day, serve the guy lunch. Yeah. Look after him. You know, maybe the guy's a director of a company. Maybe he's a doctor, dentist. You know, some ex-politician. Maybe he's run his own business and has, you know, 20 offices. You just don't know what the client is. But like you say, maybe the guy's struggling, but maybe the guy's pretty good. So, you know, it doesn't take too long. You know, in the corner of your eye, when you get on the boat and you set the rod up for the guy and say, hey, man, have a couple of casts. You kind of look in the corner of your eye over here and you watch. And you can see, okay, maybe the guy, but beforehand, I'll ask him, have you done any trips this year? Have you done any fishing? Yes. The guy says, yeah, I've been on 3 trips. I went and caught this and there, this there, and that. And he sends you a couple of pictures. Now, immediately in your mind, you can see already, okay, this guy can fish. I mean, he's pretty good. He's already caught a top and check, here he's got this. And he's got something else. Wow. Maybe the guy says, no, I haven't fished since last October, you know, and I'm just not sure about my gear. Now, as a guide, you've got to think quick smart. You've got to go through all the guy's line. You've got to go through all his backing. You've got to go through his leaders. versus the guy's already done a couple of trips.
Yeah.
Your day's going to be a lot easier with him. So now you're on the boat. Now you're a teacher as well. Now this is a choice. This is what separates certain guides and certain teachers. It's your choice, my choice. Do you help the guy, or do you just get impatient and come home? Yes, we caught nothing. The guy can't cast.
Yeah,
I don't like that option. For me, the best option is to say to him, listen, let's make you cast better. Let me teach you. Let me show you how.
Well, that's the big difficult part in this. And with me, when I do weddings and shoots and stuff like that, about 800 times during the day, I'll say to the couples, everything fine? Is there anything I can do for you? Because I'm not just there to do photos for them. And I've been to other places, other clients that I've done work for. People come overseas to come and I go with and I document their whole trip and everything. I say to the guys, listen, to the lodge owners, I say to them, if you need me to go and fetch you firewood, you tell me, Dewald, I need wood, or light the fire, or pour the drinks. I'm not there to sit back on and let them. I'm
Sure.
an extra hand to make it as comfortable as possible for those guests, because those are phone you in 6 months' time and said, listen, I've given your details to my best mate. He's the director of Microsoft or whatever. He's bringing 6 mates over to come and fish, and he's not going to say Shales. And he was looking at top, and I said, no, stuff that you go fish with Jono. He's the best guy to go to.
Yeah. No, that's hey, excuse me for 1 sec. I won't be long at all. You're grabbing a necessity here.
Hold on.
Lekker. That.
Ah, nice.
It's 7 o'clock here. It's 7 o'clock, and I deserve a nice cold beer. I got a Stella.
Nice.
It's not a Windhoek.
Yeah, we've got a lot better beer in South Africa than all the commercial stuff.
Yeah, I know.
What do you think is going to happen with this whole COVID thing? When are you going to start getting clients again, or does it look like you're going to get clients?
I'm not bothered by it, Dewald. These are things way out of our control. Everything went south very fast and slow. And fortunately, where we are here in Western Australia, I think there's like 500 cases in Western Australia. 450 are recovered. There's been 8 deaths and no new cases of COVID in WA for the last 4 days running.
Okay.
Yeah. So the restrictions are in place. And they basically shut everything down. Same like you. They didn't lock it down. It's not like SA. So I can still have a drink. I can go and buy alcohol and whatever. But, from my side, and any guide for this matter, any guide or any tourism operator, anyone who accepts people from overseas or from travel, whatever, immediately took a shot straight between the eyes as this thing started going. You can't say, oh, I'm still working, or everything's shut down. So for me, I'm not going to say, where are we now? We're in late April. So I don't think anything's going to happen May, June, July, August, September, 5-6 months. Nothing's going to happen, at least not from me anyway. Yeah. So international travel. So in Australia, you still can't come into Australia. There's no international travel. And there's no regional travel now either here in Western Australia. I can't drive down to Perth. There's roadblocks and all that. And people from Perth or from other areas can't come up here. There's no tourism. There's no moving around. Everything's just stationary. Those restrictions are still in place. So my business, being a destination right on the front line, so there's nothing going to start up anytime soon, or, might get the odd client until travel restrictions get open. I mean, Trump is being such a fuckwit, excuse my French, but I've never liked the guy. But what's going on now with 1 million cases in the US and 55,000 or 58,000 deaths, I'm not going to get an American client, and no guide anywhere is going to get an American client until that. So any lodge or any person or any guide or any operator out there who likes having rich American clients come and fish with them, it's not going to happen until better decisions get made in the States and things actually because it's just getting worse. It's not actually getting better.
Yeah, but I think it was also a case of ignorance on most Americans' part, and not just, it's like you said, I don't like Trump. I really don't like him at all. But I think he's done a lot of okay stuff for the States. And he has very big balls. He's not scared to show them or.
No. And that's exactly right. The guy has got big balls. He hasn't got very much brains though. But you know, I just don't like his the way that he's a leader. As a person, whatever, but as a leader, you can't have someone like that. But you know, he's doing his thing, and that's great and whatever. But you know, geez, politics, me, I mean, you know, what do I know? I mean, grew up in South Africa, you know, we've got, you know, this and that, you know, I grew up with bloody Botha de Klerk, and then suddenly Mandela, and then it's, you know, this guy, that guy, then Zuma, and now, you know, and then I was in Australia for 8 years, and people say, what's your political inclination? Like, what are you, this or you that? Fucking what am I? I don't know what I am. I'm happy I'm in Australia, mate. You know what I mean?
You get the fish.
I got a roof over my head, with government supporting me. I mean, you know, life couldn't be better.
But I think a lot of people are like that. They know what's going on in the government, and they're moaning about it, but they couldn't give two shits if they say, right, listen, this and that, and you're not allowed to do that. They will just carry on with their lives and do their thing. And
yes,
and that's what. Well, I'm not going to bitch and moan about the government. It's not going to bring me anywhere.
Yes,
it's going to
yes.
be a topic around the braai for half an hour, and then we're going to switch over to something else.
You know, and governments and politics, and it's something that most people don't want to get involved in. They don't want to have it. But when you got a chop there, you got someone who's being difficult and who's being, you know, you get involved, and it's not something people generally want to put their energy and effort into their everyday lives to think about politics. You just want to say, well, somebody steer the ship, please, and do a good job. And when you have a good leader and a good person steering the ship, I would say that I'm completely happy with Scott Morrison here and the decisions that he's made and how it's all happened here. And I'm so thankful that I'm not in America, let's say. And I'm so thankful that I'm not anywhere else, that I'm right here for now. But how does this affect guides in my business and my life? When I look and I see what's going on in the States through bad political decisions and ignorance on behalf of the people and their whole political system, and just the whole framework of thought process is so foreign to me and my friends and how we all think, and how that's going to affect all the businesses, all the lodge, all the guides are going to be affected for months to come, because it's not just going to be, oh, it's suddenly gone, let's have flights coming out from the States. It's not going to happen.
But I've spoken to some of the photographers, and you know, you probably know all these fishing groups on Facebook, or I don't know if there's groups for guides on Facebook or whatever, but the photographers, they've got these little groups, like there's a Cape Town photographers, and
okay,
every day there's almost a post. When can we start shooting? Aren't we classified as professional services? And also, I said, guys, listen, really, even if you can start shooting tomorrow, who's going to pay you?
Yeah,
who's be able to afford a family shoot for 2,500–3,500 rand? Who's going to do that?
Yeah, that's the signs of you know, the economy slowing down, and that there's going to be a recession, and that's the signs of people stop spending money.
Yeah, and also then I said to them, how many of you have actually in this whole lockdown period done something creative, taught yourself something, made something, did something that will make you stand out? Because as soon as all the shit's over, everybody's going to be bombarded with ads for whatever. But what has that person done that will make him stand out, to that he gets to work and not Joe Soap down the street? All of them are sitting on their asses the whole day long, staring at their phones and bitching about why they can't work, instead of actually trying to do something for. With the photographers, all of them are busy selling workshops and presets, but nobody can afford it because the people they market to haven't got any income. Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing is connected. You know, once people stop spending, that stop spending mentality filters through to every facet of your life, be it in the shop, albeit non-essential service. Of course, with people with their money in their lives, the first thing they got to do is put a roof over their head, pay for their house, pay for the car, their wife, their kids, whatever. After that, it's like, hey, what can we spend our money on? Fishing trips, holidays, wedding shoots, pictures, those things, those peripheral expenditures disappear pretty quick.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I have an amazing client base, and I've built up my client base over the last 10 years. And I'm fortunately 100% so lucky that my clients are sticking by me, and they're not wanting refunds. We're just moving to the next year. Jono, is there anything we can help you with? Do you want us to pay for part of the trips and this? And, so guys are like that. So, I don't have to suddenly think, oh my God, I've got to sell something or do something. It's just about, I'm fortunate that I've built client networks, repeat clients too. And those clients like to come here, like to fish with me. They also like to know that they're supporting my business and my lifestyle and everything here. So haven't got massive amounts of clients wanting money back. I've got no clients wanting any money back or anything. So I've just moved things. So while the government is going to pay me assistance over the next 6 months, those 6 months move to next year. And, we just hopefully can carry on. Of course, there's going to be moving things around and so on. And I have a lot of domestic clients too, clients not necessarily come in from America. I was just using that as an example there. But, European clients or clients from Australia, from the East Coast and so on. Once the travel restrictions start lifting, I've already got emails and inquiries from those guys saying, listen, let me know when there's a week, I'll jump on a plane and we'll come out.
Yeah. No, interesting times ahead for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't really talked a lot of fishing. We talked a lot of business, but which is perfect. That's interesting. Is there anything else you want to chat about? We've gone.
Well, I think people often see a picture of someone, or they see something, and what am I going to do? Talk about fishing? Fuck it, I talk about fishing every day of my life, and I've been fishing my whole life. No, and if there's anyone who's watching. Or has been watching, or in future, let me know. Or if there's some people who wants to know something about anything, I don't know. Very happy to answer any questions that guys might have.
There's been one or two comments. The one is from Positive Fishing. He just said hi. Then is from
Positive Fishing.
Positive Fishing. Then is from Nicholas Lejean.
Yeah.
He said, how's it? Greetings from Sweden.
Yes.
I had a wink eye from Emmy Ray.
Yes.
Nicholas said he'll watch later on. He's got to get back to work. And then Ken Clark said, we got to chat about this carry the bags policy.
See, these guys have all come and fished with me. This is what I'm saying about, building relationships, building nice networks with the guys. These are all good guys, These guys coming out of Hong Kong, Ken and them are out in Hong Kong, Nick Lejean out of Europe. Yeah. Positive Fishing, that's Karen and John. They, I think, up in Broome somewhere or on the East Coast. Well, how's it, guys? If you're there, and that's what fly fishing should be, eh? That's what the passion should be. People are going, in the same direction.
Yeah, no, but it's been absolutely amazing catching up and hearing some of the backstories from way back when we chatted. Yes. It's interesting times and the way people have evolved from that to where they are now. So it's been
yes. Well, I mean, I have no regrets at all, for the decisions that I've made and the processes that I had to go through to get here. I've got no regrets. I mean, you should never have regrets. Sure, there's tough times and difficult times, and you go through ups and downs and whatever. But I wouldn't change it for anything. And I'm super happy I am where I am today, and super happy that I'm able to. If you get to the point in life where you're doing what you enjoy and you're making money from it, or you're making a living from your passion, you're actually in a very small percentage of guys out there. I mean, the large chunk of the population is waking up, having a coffee, go to work, doing something which is just a job.
Sit in traffic,
do whatever, and you can say, oh, I like my job, but is it your passion? No. So that point that I've got to in my life where I actually thoroughly do enjoy meeting people, teaching guys, learning from people, bouncing ideas, building relationships with guys, and making a business from it is hugely rewarding, considering the path that I took from 10 years to now. And I'm very happy that I took that path. Excuse me.
But it is being a nice guy in general. You've always been a very helpful, nice guy. Whenever somebody's had questions, I remember from Fly Talk, you would always come and answer them.
Right.
And it's not like you sitting on a throne somewhere saying, well, screw you guys, I'm Jono, I don't have to answer questions. And I think that's what's put you in a different bracket as well. Just being a hell of a nice guy in general. So.
Oh, that's very kind. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Dewald. Yeah, man, I mean, I think that it's very easy. Like I said before, fortunately, I've been doing this now long enough. It's very easy to get away with yourself nowadays. Youngsters, people spending too long looking at these things. It's very easy to feel glorified, and that self-glorification, that ego, can get way out of control. And for me, I've never really looked up to people like that and thought, yes, that guy's my hero.
Yeah.
And I've never, ever once, ever, no matter what I've done my whole life, ever got anyone to autograph anything of mine. I've never, gone, yes, that guy's my hero, autograph this. I always just think, well, that's just a normal person. It's just a normal person who's made. So I've kind of lived my life like that too, just be a normal person. Sure, I've made decisions and whatever, and I know stuff about fishing, or I know stuff about this and that, but anyone's just a normal person at the end of the day, really. So.
No, I had a chat to Andre Snyman. You'll remember Andre Snyman, the Springbok Center from the 90s. Sent him a message, listen, would you like to come and chat? And he was keen. So, and he was a nice guy. He talked rugby, and it was fun. It wasn't like he was my hero when I was at school, but it was just standing around a braai talking about rugby with anyone.
Yes, and that makes it even nicer that you realize, yes, he's just a normal guy. It's just like just a normal guy, doing normal stuff. So, no, well, lekker, man. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you and seeing you again. I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope the guys who've watched it learned a bit more about life out in Western Australia and so on. We didn't talk much about fishing, but maybe we can do that again.
Yeah, but you've got a beat set or something. What did you say coming up in 45 minutes?
Yeah, I do. It is in 45 minutes. Yeah. So I've set up here in the guest house here. There's all my. Hang on a sec. I'll show you. Yeah, that guy. So I've set up here all my music stuff. That's another passion of mine. That's all records and vinyl. And I'm actually setting up a live stream with an old friend of mine, actually. And we're broadcasting it to South Africa, actually. And we're broadcasting it at 8 o'clock here, which is, 2 o'clock there. So that's another passion of mine, something I've also kept parallel, to fishing. I thoroughly enjoy, and I fully immerse myself in something. If it's fly fishing or something. But music production, DJing, mixing music, been doing for 20 years. It's something that not a lot of people get, and they go, oh, it's just boof, boof. But some people completely love it.
Yeah, no, I'll put, is it going to be streamed on YouTube, or where is it going to be streamed?
Lockdown2020.co.za. So that's lockdown2020.co.za.
I'll put the link in there. I'll put the link.
Oh, lekker, man.
Jono,
hey, listen, my friend, all the best to you, and yeah, well, hopefully a couple of people have been watching, and how's it to them? But all the best. We'll catch up again. Definitely.
Keep well, and keep showing those pictures. We all sitting here with baits. I'll go fishing and send you a couple of pics. Right, buddy. All the best, mate. All right. Ciao. Bye-bye.